This is Stan Fischler, and this is the Power Play Break, the place to talk about pucks.
Back here in the Power Play Break with Stu Grimson. Stu, you're in Chicago now, and you guys are playing well. You lose the cup to the Penguins. That has to be disappointing to go through a whole season, and you get there, and Mario and crew, second year in a row, they win it. But the NHL decides, let's expand, and let's add Florida and Anaheim, and the Mighty Ducks are going to be in there based off of the movie, and you get chosen. I mean, how did that feel? You're in a great group with Chicago, and now all of a sudden, well, Stu, it was nice knowing you, you're off. I mean,
yeah, it came as a surprise to me too. I really did. I was one of the guys that when the league announced that the NHL was going to allow Anaheim an expansion team, and they were going to call them the Mighty Ducks. I was kind of like, I can't believe they're going to do it. And of course, who gets picked in the expansion draft? None other than yours truly. But it was a great experience. The one thing we always say, that group of guys, we were third and fourth line NHLers from all around the league, and we were getting an opportunity to take on a lot more responsibility. It was a great career thing for just about everybody in that room. So I really looked at it that way, diving into it. And I'll tell you what, one, being a part of something new, whatever you're doing, is a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. Doing it with Disney was exceptionally cool.
I was going to say, it must have been amazing.
I mean, they just treated us so well. Think of the marketing resources that this group has behind it as they're launching an NHL team. I mean, I don't think anybody could have done it as well as they did. It was a lot of fun. We were outselling some of the most established brands in all of pro sports, just in terms of, our stuff and the newness of it. But it was a lot of fun. And Dad was never more popular in his house than when he was working for the Mouse. There were all kinds of perks to that.
So what was it? I mean, did you guys get like free trips to Disneyland or whatever you want?
We got a silver pass. Anytime I wanted to take me and my family into the amusement park, we had the silver pass, would take us right in there. I'd pick my kids up from school. I wouldn't tell them where we were going. They're sitting in the back truck, and we pull into the happiest place on earth. And I mean, again, Dad's stock was rising back then. We in the wives' room, it was, Donald Duck would come in, Pluto would come in and hang out with the kids. It was like, can you do any better? Could your dad have a better job at that point?
Didn't do that well, wins and losses, but I mean, did that kind of make up for it with all these wonderful perks you guys had? I mean, would guys come to the team and they'd be there after a couple of weeks and go, I don't ever want to get traded. This is just...
It was remarkable. Well, one, doing it, playing for a Disney-owned team was very cool. And another thing, for guys, nobody's used to playing in a hockey market like Southern California, so that was a unique opportunity as well. I mean, it's a very fun area to be able to experience over any length of time. So that was awfully cool too. We knew we weren't going to set the league on fire right out of the gate, but we did. We actually tied an expansion record for most wins. We were pretty competitive our first year. We took a little bit of pride in that. We really did. Worked hard, and I think helped to establish some fundamental principles for teams going forward.
Now, Ronnie Wilson was the head coach, first guy to coach the team. I mean, what kind of a guy was he? Was he more, Keenan was more demanding and everything. Was Ronnie different, more cerebral? He seems to be more of an architect type of coach.
To be precise, Chris, Emilio Estevez was actually first to coach the team.
That's right.
Then came
Ron. Coach Gordon Bombay, I'm sorry.
Then came Ron. But Ron was good. Ron was very much a student of the game. He was a guy that utilized video more than anybody else I had ever played for, and I thought used it in a very positive, a very innovative way. Showed us a lot of teaching points without question, but he worked in a lot of fun stuff. He worked in a lot of interesting stuff. Did a lot of these, pump-up tapes that I'd never seen before. He'd have positive clips of each guy set to music. I'd never really seen that anywhere else, and I thought he used that very effectively. Ron was a good hockey man, a good communicator of the game, and it was a good experience playing under him. I thought he was a good fit for that team.
Now you're there, and Paul Kariya comes in the next year, and he had lit it up at the University of Maine.
Yeah.
did they say to you, hey, this is now the face of the franchise, Stu? Anybody touches him,
Yeah.
you got to take care of this guy. I mean, was that ever brought up to you at all? And
Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, never directly, no, but I do what I do, he does what he does, and he's about half my size, and of course this is an important asset. So I knew a big part of what I did was, you know, riding shotgun for Paul, making sure that, you know, nobody bothered Paul, and I think for the most part that went pretty well. It was, you know, you could tell coming in, he was a dynamic player. He did things that I just didn't see a lot of NHLers doing at that time. He was very, very tough to contain in the offensive zone, and he was remarkable right out of the gate.
now you're there, and you know, Dad's stock is up and everything, but you're going to be leaving, I guess, to go to Hartford. You went to Hartford after this, right? Or where did you wind up?
I actually got traded to Detroit.
Detroit, yeah, okay.
Detroit. The lockout shortened year in '94, '95. I got traded to Detroit at the trade deadline, and Detroit was really on the uptick. That was a team that was doing all kinds of things and all kinds of great things. And I joined them just before the trade deadline. We ultimately, and that was a good fit. Detroit is a great hockey market. That goes without saying. Fun being part of the sport when, you know, you're in a major American city and hockey really was top dog. You don't see that in many, you know, major American centers. So that was a lot of fun.
That was the year they went to the finals against the Devils.
Exactly right, exactly right, and that was a great experience. It really was. We had some really strong players, some amazing guys, and you know that team was foundational to the teams that it would ultimately go on and start rattling off a bunch of cups.
How disruptive was that for your family, though? I mean, you know, you're in Anaheim. You know, you probably got your wife settled, your kids settled. How disruptive is that? A lot of people don't realize. You know, someone related to me one time as being in the military.
Yeah.
You get transferred, you know, to a new base, a new city, a new country, whatever.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I always found, for me, I grew up that way. My dad was a Mountie growing up. I bounced around all over the western part of the country as a kid, so moving around was never a big deal for me. It was tougher for my wife. I had a built-in social network wherever I went. I had the guys, and a lot of times I even knew the guys, some of the guys before I joined the team. So easy adjustment for me, not so much for my wife. That particular year, I was going into a contract year. The following summer, I was going to be up. So what we did was we just kind of shifted everybody back to Canada, not knowing how long I was going to be in Detroit, whether I'd be back to Detroit. Turns out I ended up doing a 5-year deal with Detroit. But so we just we thought it best for everybody to just kind of head back to Canada, make that home base for a while.
Now, you play in the finals again that year. You get traded at the deadline, and the Devils run the table on you. I mean, it was amazing to see that happen. How frustrating it is now, you must say to yourself, I've been here twice,
Yeah.
I've never won a game in the finals. I mean, did you start to think to yourself that maybe I'm not going to get back here again, that maybe this isn't going to happen?
You always doubt that. You really always do, without question. I think, again, having been through it with Chicago, you realize how rare the opportunity is, so you treat it differently when you get a chance to do it again. And all of us were really leaning on, let's get it. Let's knock these guys off. And the trouble with Jersey was, if you remember back that time, they had newly implemented this trap style, neutral zone trap, that was frustrating a lot of hockey teams. And quite frankly, players and staff together, we had no idea what to do with it. We were completely frustrated, had a difficult time getting a lead in any game, never mind winning a game. And we were on the outside of that series looking in right from the drop of the puck for the most part.
Were you surprised coming to New Jersey down 0-2?
Were we surprised?
Yes.
Very surprised, no question. I mean, I don't think anybody underestimated Jersey in our group going into that series, but we shouldn't expect them to be that dominating. Again, that style of game, because they were playing it for the first time, nobody had really seen it, and they were playing it so effectively, they had us all bollocksed up in the worst way.
Now, you stick around there for a few years, and you wind up in Hartford. And people always say the forever 500s is how they refer to the Whalers. You know, they're not that good. What was that move like? Again, now you're on the move again for you. I mean, you said it's easy for you. I mean, was your wife, did she come to Detroit to stay with you guys and then have to go with you to Hartford?
Yeah,
or is
joined us in Hartford. The whole crew came in Hartford because the contract situation was kind of stabilized at this point. I was under a deal. So it was, again, another unique opportunity, a spot for me, leaving Detroit, going to Hartford, a team that,
with Primo, right?
Primo was there,
part
yeah.
of that deal?
Keith Primo was there. And it was an opportunity for me to play more. I played under Coach Paul Maurice. He and I were a good fit. I really liked Paul as a communicator. I thought he was he ran a good program, all kinds of structure, and a very dynamic coach for a younger guy. It was a good fit for me. I played lots under Paul, and really I think as one of the best fits for me just in terms of my ability to play a regular turn. So I really did enjoy my experience in Hartford, and now that the once mighty Whale is gone, I look back at that as kind of a unique piece of my career.
Now, I have to ask you, are you for or against the Brass Bonanza? I mean, a lot of people, who've played, I mean, like Brendan Shanahan said when he got traded there, everybody in the world put that on their answering machine for him and just said, here you go, here's the song. I mean, those things are lost today in the NHL from a marketing standpoint. I mean, you come from Disney. Disney would have taken that wherever.
Right.
Were you thinking to yourself in the back of your mind every time you go out on the ice, oh, God, here comes that song again. I just can't take it? Or
I was really indifferent to it back then. I have to say honestly, I was very indifferent to it. I knew it was different. I didn't make too much fuss of it. Looking back, I think it's a terrific piece of NHL folklore. I think it's a great, great memory for all of us. I really do.
What was your toughest thing, though, being in Hartford? You come from Detroit, where it's hockey town.
Right.
You're in Anaheim, where it's people are excited about a new thing. Chicago, people are into sports. Hartford is kind of not a lost city, but a city that just doesn't really have an identity. Was that kind of difficult for you to make that transition?
Yeah, I think so. And two, I think because you're really in the hockey hotbed, if you think of it, in that New England area. For whatever reason, the Whalers just didn't get the kind of following I thought they deserved. I thought for the area, for the market, for the region, maybe better said, I would have thought that our club would have been supported far more feverishly than it was. I mean, when the Rangers came to town, it was like a home game. It was like a home game for them. It was like a road game for us. I mean, get a goal early to take our crowd out of it. It was kind of a strange situation, but. It was a different market, but again, it was a good responsibility, a good opportunity for me, just in terms of my increased responsibility, and I'll always look back on that as a good step in the journey.
You did wind up going back to Anaheim, and in your career. I mean, were you saying to yourself, "Oh God, here we go again. The kids are going to love this, but am I going to stay here?" That kind of a thing. I mean, how did that? You're doing all these cross-country moves. I mean, were the kids by that point adjusting to all that stuff? Or?
Yeah, they were doing pretty well. Of course, our kids were at a younger age back then. I think when you're in your, 2, 4, 5, 6 kind of, when you're that young, it's fairly easy to kind of pick up and to go back. They had such a good experience our first time around, and they weren't that far removed from our first experience, that everybody was pretty excited about going back. And I kind of saw that one coming a little bit. I forced my way out of the Whalers, then Hurricanes organization. So I kind of saw that one coming, and I was pleased that a club that I had been with in the past
wanted you back.
They wanted me back. That was a pretty good feeling, and that was a much improved team from the time that I had left. We were now a playoff team, and that was worthwhile. That was a meaningful difference.
When we get back, we're going to talk to Stu about being a tough guy in the NHL.